There it is, right on time. I called it this time.
Nice.
Ladies and gentlemen, do you have health insurance? If not, you are definitely going to want to tune in today because that guy over there looking at you, he is going to be your guy. So tune in, check us out. Lots to learn today.
The Carrier Experience Podcast is a show for anyone who wants to grow their agency and be a titan of the insurance industry. Learn from a panel of experts who share their agency struggles, their experiences with the nation's best carriers, and share the marketing secrets that successful insurance agents are using today. Now, here's your host, the insurance bro, James Cias.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, and all of you insurance pros out there, let's dive into another episode. But before we jump into the show, just a quick reminder to please subscribe on whichever platform it is that you're catching us on today. Give us a like, give us a follow, subscribe, and drop a review, and help other like-minded insurance agents find value from our guests as we rise in those podcast rankings. I'll sincerely appreciate anything that you do for us. Also, don't forget to follow me on all of my social media at Insurance Bro Show. And if you want to be a guest on the Insurance Bro Show, go to www.insurancebroshow.com/guest. Ladies and gentlemen, we are so excited and honored to bring another incredible guest on the Insurance Bro Show. Our guest today is an independent health insurance broker based right here in sunny San Diego. With 8 years of experience in the industry, our guest is perfectly situated to help you compare plans to find the one that best fits for your client. For you as the client. To top it all off, our guest charges absolutely no additional fees to the client, putting that money right back into their pockets. So whether you need an individual or family plan, a health insurance coverage review to find coverage gaps, or if you just turned 65 and are now qualified for Medicare, our guest has the knowledge, experience, and heart for service to help you with your needs. Joining us today from yourhealthpolicy.com, welcome to the show, Dylan Murray! Oh, please, don't stop the applause. Don't stop.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dylan. Thanks for joining us today.
Absolutely.
It's an honor to have you here, man.
I'm joining you from my car because it's open enrollment. So we health insurance and Medicare agents are out in the world, even during COVID, trying to make health insurance happen for everybody.
It's that time of the year, right? Open enrollment started earlier this month. It goes through till December. So
depends on which open enrollment you're talking about, but Right now we're talking Medicare. Medicare technically starts tomorrow for enrolling, and then that runs through December 7th. But then we've also got like the whole Cover California issue. That's going to start November 1 and goes until who knows when that's going to end. So there's a lot going on with insurance right now.
Well, we will definitely dive into that. But first, tell me a little bit about yourself. First of all, we know that you've been in the insurance game for 8 years now. What led you to insurance? What was the path that got you here?
Yeah, so I went to business school at San Diego State, go Aztecs. And I was like, I'm going to be some high-paid corporate guy, and I made a lot of money. And about 3/4 of my way through, I was like, I don't want to work for anybody but for myself, because that's where the money's at and that's where the freedom's at. And so I thought, look around. Who makes money and doesn't actually have to like stress out and work all the time like doctors and lawyers? Insurance agents. They have it going on, that residual money. So I thought, okay. So I actually started and I had a farmer's insurance franchise for 3 years. And I did that. And then I thought, I don't really think this is my game. I think that there's better places for me to be. And then I switched over to health insurance.
All right. So you had your farmer's office, and farmers offers all the different lines of business. You need auto, home, life insurance, business. It does all of that. And one of the things that you mentioned was residual income. I mean, this is definitely a huge plus, a huge bonus. One of the things that we love about insurance in general. But when I think of that residual income, I usually think of P&C. Do you get the residuals with health insurance as well?
Yeah, absolutely. So we are paid, health insurance agents are paid s- basically relatively small amounts of money per month. So we don't get like a big lump sum, generally speaking. It's a numbers game for us. So we need to have, several hundred people, and all of those, the insurance companies are paying us every month that those people stay. So it behooves us to find people the right plan with the right doctors to stay on top of it and keep them in the plan, because
Mhm.
once we gain those customers, we want to gain them with an average of 8 to 10 years for customer retention.
8 to 10 years of customer retention for health insurance. Is that the goal or is that the standard?
Well, so for the covered California plans, the individual health plans, those are a little bit less. Those can be 3 to 5, but really the Medicare plans, those are anywhere from 10 to 15 years is what we hope for. Now, there's
Mhm.
always, the customers who fall off, but that average really allows us to build the book every year because we don't have to do a lot of servicing. That's why PNC
Ah,
is so difficult. We don't really service these customers because when they have a problem, they call the carrier. They don't call us.
they call Kaiser, they call Sharp, they call whoever.
Yes, yes. So we don't have that
Interesting.
that burden of. I mean, I do get calls, but generally speaking, once my customers are in place, I send them newsletters. I give them a call once a year, but my hands are pretty much clean.
That's awesome. When you call
It's
them that once a year, are you doing any cross selling there or do you just stick to medical?
Yeah, so there are cross-selling opportunities. Um, I have, for the most part, just stayed in my lane, right?
Mhm.
I don't veer too far out of it. I have gotten some resistance from people who feel like, oh, you're just trying. There's a lot of people out there who sell health insurance or Medicare policies because they actually ultimately want to sell them something else, like a life insurance policy or an annuity.
Mhm.
And I don't want to do that. I just want to stay right where I am. I have pivoted and done some life insurance sales, but very, very rarely, and only really upon request.
Understood, understood. Aside from the ease, because it does sound like it's pretty easy to do health insurance. I mean, once you sell the policy, the customer just goes to the carrier. They really don't call you very much. So
Right.
besides that ease, what else do you love about health insurance? What is it that fires you up?
Well, so what it is there's an unknowable amount of information, even for me as a broker,
Mhm.
for health insurance. It changes every year. There's new carriers, there's new rules, under 65, over 65. There's all these variations. And so I don't even feel like, I mean, really, health insurance sales is not even sales. It's sort of being a helpful representative and saying to these people, hey, let me guide you through this process. Let me explain to you this crazy maze that we have created in the U.S. health industry that makes
Mhm.
no sense. No one would create a system like this on purpose. This has just been band-aided over 45, 55 years. So I have that knowledge of how to be the Sherpa through the health insurance maze. And that's where I gain my sense of satisfaction out of what I do, because people walk in and they're like tired and they're hungry and they're thirsty and they don't know what's going on and they're frustrated. And I can sit them down and in 32 minutes, they are clear about what needs to happen and they don't feel any pressure to do it because they want to do the right thing. Because that's what people, I mean, really, in the end, people don't want to have to buy car insurance, but people actually do want health insurance because they use
Mhm.
it.
Yeah,
Skills I've acquired over a very long career.
that's what you've done. You've created these skills for yourself over these 8 years.
That's
With
correct.
people buying health insurance. I mean, I'm one that like it takes me forever to go to a doctor. Right?
Right.
I'm just not the one that calls the doctor for every little sniffle and cough. It took 6 months of hip pain for me to call the doctor, and like I have my physical therapy appointment tomorrow, so I don't even know what they're going to tell me about it. But it's been 6, 8 months, whatever it is. when it comes to I was gonna relate that to auto insurance and the way that people don't use auto insurance as much, or
Right.
at least they try to avoid using auto insurance, but that's not the
Right.
same. That's not the case with health insurance. And I know that I had a different point with that, but you know what? Forget about
No,
it.
but I have a
Go
point.
ahead. Yeah, sure.
My point is this. So, really when you're out there, and I've sold commercial insurance, auto insurance, home insurance, there's not a lot of overlap with politics. There's not a lot of conceptualization or conversations about what is auto insurance and why do we have to have it, and how does it work, and who deserves it. It just sort of is. Health insurance, because it's this national conversation, people have a lot of preconceived notions about what it is, and they get confused and frustrated very easily. And one of the things that I try to tell people is that car insurance and health insurance are very, very different, because really health insurance is more like a health warranty. Like when we insure a car, it's not because we know that the car is going to inevitably get into a crash. Car insurance is to insure against the unlikely incident. Health insurance insures against what is effectively the inevitable, which is that we're all going to get sick and die. Don't mean to sound morbid, but it's actually
true.
It's a lot closer to whole life insurance, where you're like, well, this thing is going to happen to you, so you got to contend with that. Car insurance is very sort of, ethereal, like, well, maybe someday this may or may not happen if somebody. No, health insurance, it becomes very real when you wake up and you can't get out of bed because you have a big lump in your hip and you got to figure out what's going on. Yep. We all end up at the doctor.
We all end up there at some point. Yeah, for sure.
Right. I mean, occasionally there is that car accident that takes somebody out real quick, but really we end up with needing a doctor. And, whether you agree with the Affordable Care Act or not, it changed the whole conversation. And it's nothing, you can repeal it if you want to, but you can't go back in time. You can't. And I have a lot of customers, I'm a supporter of the Affordable Care Act, but I have a lot of customers who don't, they say, oh, I want a covered California plan. This looks great, but I don't want Obamacare. Well, they're the same thing.
Yeah.
They don't know what they're talking about. And I've run into that a lot.
That's not how it works. That's not how any of this works.
That's right. It's not how any of this works.
It's those things that you wish your customers knew ahead of time, right?
Occasionally, and I will tell you this, that, sort of being and I'll just admit to it, I'm sort of a liberal, lefty, hippie.
Right,
like, I know I kind of look like, but I am, right? And so, of course, but occasionally, and especially these days, I'll get a Trump supporter who's very much like, well, this is what I expect out of you. And I'm like, okay, well, sorry. I can't help you with that. Like, I can, and I try, and I get to teach and inform in a very sort of like calm and like straightforward, like brass tacks way. Like, okay, I know you hated Obama and you're a racist, and that's fine, but let me tell you what this means to you. You're either going to pay $1,200 a month, or you're going to pay $400 and you're going to swallow the Obamacare pill. Which are you going to do? And that, to me, inside is secretly very, very, very satisfying.
Gotta love it. Just twist the knife a little bit. It's fine.
A little
it's
bit.
Fine.
It's fine. It's
so,
okay.
I remembered actually my point, going back to the comparison of auto insurance and health insurance. It wasn't that long ago. It was in our lifetimes that auto insurance became mandatory throughout the 50 states. Right. Prior to that point, it wasn't mandatory. Not everybody had to have it. And one of the things that I've learned over the years is by making auto insurance mandatory, it actually alleviated a lot of problems, a lot of liability issues. Because imagine, how many people out there would not carry auto insurance today if it wasn't mandated by law, and how many people you would get into an accident with that wouldn't have auto insurance coverage, and maybe you wouldn't either. Then what happens? Now we have, people forfeiting forfeiting on their loans for those cars that they can't pay, they can't pay for anymore because they can't get to work anymore. And so like the entire infrastructure the economy is very much indebted in a lot of ways to the insurance industry. So taking that over to the medical insurance side, having the one payer system or whatever, I don't know a lot about politics. I know enough to know which side I'm on.
Right. Oh, sure.
But the whether it's the one payer system or Obamacare or like all of these different things, where if everybody is paying into it, then there's a larger pool to draw from, so that the people that really need it at the time will get the care that they need. And those people like me who wait 8 months to go to the doctor, won't be digging into it as much.
Well, the other thing that's important to note is that, you have, because car insurance, using your example, is sort of across the board, there's sort of this baseline where we can all rely on it. Yeah, it does occasionally happen where someone is uninsured and they're driving around and they hit somebody. Happened to my mom, right? But there's still an underpinning.
7 to 17% nationwide.
Right, and we can still insure against that, right? Because when you don't have any kind of underpinning for health insurance, whether it's mandated, because now in the state of California, because the Trump administration removed the mandate nationwide, the state of California said, no, we're going to implement that mandate again. Okay. So there is an underpinning. The other thing is that a lot of people who are sort of anti-socialist or whatever, they don't understand that Medicare, for those who are over 65 and sometimes people who are disabled, that is a medical underpinning that once you sort of have that structure underneath, you can let the free market operate very, very successfully on top of it. Yeah. And you don't get a lot of the greed or the elimination or the exclusivity that we used to have, where you couldn't get plans because you had a pre-existing condition. Medicare is a great example of, okay, we're going to take this government program and then we're going to let and that covers 80% of your medical costs if you're over 65. And then on top of that, you have to figure out that other 20%. Well, the genius thing, which was not created, they didn't do it on purpose, but now there's all of these insurance companies that are competing really, really well to how to cover that other 20%. And it's very competitive, and it's a really great way for people to get a lot of additional services. So it's marrying your government and your government policies and your consumer driven
capitalistic.
Thank you, capitalism.
Yeah. No, I 100% agree with that. Having that foundation of everybody have it. So here's the law. Now does give different carriers that ability, more competitive, and it does open that up to the free market. I love that. That's couldn't have said it better myself.
And the truth of it is, and this really upsets people when I say this sometimes, is there's an example in that called the Advantage program, Advantage plans inside Medicare. And the Advantage plan, which is what I basically just described to you, was sort of initially, I believe, was initially proposed by the Clinton administration in the mid-90s and then completed by the following Bush administration. So you have, again, this perfect, like, Democrat plus Republican equals this really functional system. And how over time, insurance it is there to serve us, and it is there to make our lives better. And if we give it a chance to breathe and we all calm down and we stop pointing fingers at each other, it'll be fine. We'll all have health insurance. And I lived for a while in France, and I operated inside of the French health system, and I understand the benefits and the problems with socialized medicine. I've seen it. And we need to have something in the US. Like, we can't go back, like I was saying, pre-Affordable Care Act. He ain't lying. I'm not lying. I'm not.
No, I 100% agree. So I'm going to take this a little bit different direction. We've been having fun talking, politics and policies. So a little bit different direction to learn from you as an agent. So you are a salesperson, right? Yeah. As an insurance agent, we are salespeople. This is just part of the job description. So what are some of your marketing tips and tricks? What do you do to get your name out there? How do you generate leads?
Yeah, so it's a really good question. So in the under 65 market, it's a lot of traditional sort of networking. And the nice thing is that I've worked very closely with the San Diego representative for Covered California, and he has put me into several Covered California plans that will just direct phone calls to me. So there's just kind of like free leads, and that's great. Like that has really helped boost my business. And Covered California knows that I'm a trusted broker, and so they know I'm not going to try to pivot and sell other stuff. So Covered California has been really, really supportive. Some networking groups, that kind of sort of traditional small business stuff. It gets a lot more complicated when you're dealing with Medicare because there's so many protections around reaching out to seniors. So during open enrollment, which is basically now through December 7th, I'm actually, the different insurance companies will put us in different places. So I'm in a parking lot of the CVS at Grossmont Center because I have a booth at the CVS. Last year I was indoors.
Hear that, ladies and gentlemen? If you are interested in Medicare, head out to the CVS in Grossmont Center.
Right? And I'm outside because of COVID and concerns around COVID. So I do a lot that's face-to-face. And even in the face-to-face format, there's preliminary forms and disclosures that people have to sign. There's a lot of restrictions. So when I say that it's great to be in health insurance, it is great, but it's not a 1-year launch. It's a 3 to 5 year launch. You can kind of get yourself up and going as a PNC insurance guy in maybe a year and a half, and you sell all of your friends and family. It doesn't work like that for me. This takes a long time. And, I have people who want to start and they're like, I'm going to make $150,000 in the first year. And I was like, no, you're not.
You just kind of smile and nod, boys. Smile and wave, boys. Smile and wave.
So,
okay.
I mean, it takes a while. So, the product is this. This is the moneymaker right here. It's the trustworthiness. It's the honesty. It's the approachability. It's that I still try to look like everybody's favorite grandson, even though I'm 46. Like, I am the product because these people in the past, with Medicare, I do face-to-face appointments in their homes. That's how I've done it 90% of the time. They got to let me in. So, fortunately, I don't have any neck tattoos anymore. I had them all removed, but I never had them. That's not true.
Yeah, that probably wouldn't work so well if elderly person is trying to let you into their home. They'd be looking at you like,
oh, hell no.
Exactly.
Right. On point with that one, bro.
What I do though, what I love is that we've got the baby boomers turning 65, and all of them are familiar with my name because of Bob Dylan. Now, I was named after the poet Dylan Thomas. There's fewer people who know about Dylan Thomas, but all of these 65-year-olds, they all know Bob Dylan. And so that's what I say. I say, hey, my name is Dylan, like Bob Dylan, and you can't see it, but I usually pretend I'm playing I air guitar a little bit, and it works every single time. They're like, oh, okay, Bob Dylan.
Got it,
and so that's how I keep my, it's that trustworthiness. That's the marketability.
60% of the time, it works every time.
Yeah, no, 100%. That's exactly what it is. Having had your farmer's office back when you did, I know that you obviously had your PNC since back then, and then since the great thing about the Department of Insurance is as long as you get your continuing education, you'll maintain that PNC license, so you can still get paid for PNC business. What do you do? Do you refer any of that business off to other people and get a referral fee or referral commission?
Yeah. So here's what I do. So I have sort of my resource book. So my resource book, is got everything from, home doctor visits and PNC people and great places to get prescriptions. And I sort of have this mass of resources that I've accumulated over the years. And I try I'm not in the game to make money off of that. So I will refer people to my friend Dorian with his State Farm agency, but he'll sometimes throw me a Starbucks gift card, but I'm not in it for that. that P&C referral game is great. I'm glad P&C guys can do it. It's not where I want to be. Because it sort of muddies the waters as far as I'm concerned. I just want to help the people with health insurance. And if I stay in that lane, then there's never going to be a question about what my motives are. And so I don't really do referral fees. I don't worry about it too much. So I happily hand out referrals all the time for P&C.
Nice. No, that's really cool. I was just wondering if you got a little kickback from that or not, because I know there are definitely, I'm sure that there are agents out there, health insurance agents that are like, yeah, I won't do any of the P&C, but refer it out as long as I get something back. So
here's what I will tell you: getting like the process of becoming a health insurance agent is it's the licensing, but then you add on the Covered California certifications. That's a nightmare. Then you add on Medicare. I have to recertify annually, not just with Medicare, but with every single carrier, every single one of them.
And how many are there?
15. I have to do 15 certifications a year. Plus there's
how many
a
hours?
federal marketplace. Oh, probably 2 hours per carrier.
So about 30 hours a year. Wow.
It's
and
30.
Our CE, our continuing education, is only 24 hours every 2 years. You have to do an additional 30 hours to get recertified with all of the carriers.
Yeah, and this isn't like the fake CE hours where it says 24 but really just takes an hour and a half. This is actual time, and it's the same tests, the same questions over and over, and these long, horrible videos where because all the carriers are responsible for ensuring that I'm, properly educated. So it is a lot of work, and I don't get my residuals unless I'm certified with all my carriers. So it's not easy. I mean, it's just part of. I mean, I still think that I still come out on top because I don't have any service work, and therefore I love my health insurance clients. But it is not an easy game to get into. You gotta really, it's a marathon. You gotta run.
I love it. So first of all, I want to drop this in here. Mike Fusco out of Fusco and Orsini, he says, Dylan's the man. Saying hi to you. And also, you have your background in education over at SDSU, and then you went to a little bit of a corporate job, or you did start the corporate, right? A little bit, decided that's not for you. You wanted to be your own boss. When you wanted to be your own boss, and this is what you've been doing for the past 8 years, you must have read some good business books for business owners. What would be your top 3 books recommendations for entrepreneurs?
Well, I think there's always sort of your standard Who Moved the Cheese? Who Moved My Cheese? You know that one? Do we know that one? Yep. That's a great one.
I think I have a copy of it sitting over there.
There's the one back when I was at Farmers, the E-Myth.
That's a great one.
Right? So I remember that one. And then, the third thing that I will say for entrepreneurs, and I just had this conversation with a friend yesterday who's starting her own business as a therapist. This comes directly, this is my favorite business school lesson. So I know it's not a book, but it's, you gotta walk the walk of your client. You have to start and say, this is kind of my book that I want to write. And I've written a couple books, some fiction, some comedy, some stuff.
Oh, nice.
My business book is walk the consumer pathway for your clients. Decide, I want to fill in the blank, buy a washer and dryer, get a therapist, get a car insurance. And whatever your business is, try to go figure out how to do it, because the number of ways to get lost and fall off the path and give up, that's how the more you can eliminate those for people, the more customers are going to keep on that path and find you. And so, that was my favorite lesson from marketing at SDSU. Walk your consumer's pathway and discover how dysfunctional it is, solve those problems, and you will get a flood of customers.
There it is. You're going to be what is it? How to say the amount of money that you can earn is commensurate with the amount of problems that you can solve for other people.
That is true.
There it is. There it is. Damn, Dylan, it's been so much fun hanging out and chatting with you. Before we get out of here, will you tell our listening audience, I know you can see it on the screen, but for our listening audience, how is the best way to get in touch with you?
Yeah, go to my website, yourhealthpolicy.com. You can read all about me, see some pictures of my smiling face, get my phone number, text me, email me, whatever works for you. I'm happy to help people. I want to help you. And my services are free at yourhealthpolicy.com.
Very, very cool. All right. Well, thank you so much. It's been an absolute blast. I feel like I've learned so much about the healthcare industry. I'm a little bit inspired. I mean, it's easy. You make it sound so easy. Aside from the 30 hours of certifications that we need to do, it sounds like, agents out there need to add health insurance into their agencies. I mean, this is money on the table. If you own an agency, get one of your employees to get the license and certify with those carriers and just put that into your business, because you're going to have a lot of residual income, 8 to 10 years worth of residual income with very, very little servicing. And if you also sell PNC in your office, you always have that opportunity for cross sales.
And I have some great support networks inside my brokerage. So if you have a PNC agency, contact me and I can put you in touch with the brokerage owners, and they can hook you up with selling health insurance through your PNC agency. It's a big push.
And once again, if you're interested in that, go to www.yourhealthpolicy.com. All right, ladies and gents, that about does it for us today. As always, don't forget to like, subscribe, and review wherever it is that you're catching us on today. If you want to be a guest on the the Insurance Bro Show, go to www.insurancebroshow.com/guest. I would love to have you, to learn from you, to help you get some exposure and increase your sales in your business. And of course, don't forget to follow me everywhere at Insurance Bro Show. That about does it for us. Thank you all so much. Every single one of you listening, you rock my socks. You have my heart. And
Have a nice day!
Thank you for tuning in to the Carrier Experience Podcast. James is a CEO of the Pipeline team of San Diego and is always in the market for top talent. If you are an agent looking for a place to hang your license, visit pipelineinsurance.com/agent opportunities or send an email to newagent@pipelineinsurance.com. You can find James on all social media at Insurance Broham.